Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Fire King deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because we just got some amazing support for Fire Kings out of the new structure deck, taking this deck all the way to tier 1, which is absolutely crazy. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Sacred Fire King Garunix. You really only need 2 copies of this card in the build because it is searchable off your copy of Fire King Island, which can be searched off of your 1-card combo with Ponix, which is so cool. But this card is very easy to bring out to your side of the field, that if your monster that was originally a fire monster is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand or your graveyard, making it super easy to put on the field. Also, if this card is normal or special summon, then you can destroy 1 Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster in your hand, deck, or face up from the field, except a copy of this card. And if you do, this card gains attack equal to half the destroyed monster's attack had when it was there, which is super cool to be able to do to boost this card up so you can OTK your opponent. This card is really good to be able to destroy your copy of Barong so you can search out your copy of Kirin during your opponent's standby phase, so that you can basically go in for your copy of Garunix Eternity. We then play 3 copies of Fire King High Avatar Kirin. This card is a crazy powerful extender that you've got to play at 3. It has a really cool ability that during the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand or face up from the field, and if you do, special summon this card, which will make your other Fire Kings go off and even make your copy of Sacred Garunix go off, which is so cool. This card is also a Monster Reborn because it has a really insane ability that if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Fire King monster from your hand or grave, except another copy of this card. Then you can destroy 1 card on the field, which is so cool to be able to pop a card on the field, either yours or your opponent's, which just comes in really handy. We then play 3 copies of Legendary Fire King Ponix. Ponix is a 1-card combo in the deck, and this card is absolutely amazing, that if your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or by card effect, then you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Fire King spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect to be able to use to get to your copy of Fire King Sanctuary, which is so cool to be able to get to that card because then it'll get you to Fire King Island and then to your copy of your Sacred Garunix, which is amazing. This card is really a 1-card combo in the deck that you always want to see, and it also has a really cool ability that during the next standby phase, after this card was destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand, so you can even use this card to be able to pay costs for your copies of Kirin, which is so cool. We then play 3 copies of Arvada. Arvada is amazing because this card is a walking monster negate, which is amazing, making this card a definite 3 of in the build. We then play a single copy of Barong. Barong is really good because this card is a searcher, which is just amazing because it has the ability once per turn during the next standby phase after this card was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the grave, add 1 Fire King card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. This card is the best target to be able to use with your copy of Garunix to be able to just search out the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of the other new Fire King Avatar, Rangbali. This card is really good as a 1-of in the deck. It is a spell trap negate, which is why we play this card as a 1-of in the build, but it's just a really good card in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Diabellstar. Diabellstar is definitely a 2-0 in the build. You could probably play this card at 1, but I really like the second one just in case one of them gets banished. But this card is really good in the deck because it works with your Snake Eye support, which is just absolutely crazy because it helps you get to your copy of Ponix. We then play a single copy of Snake Eye Ash. Snake Eye Ash is great as a 1-of as well in the deck, and I absolutely love this card because if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 level 1 fire monster from your deck to your hand, getting you directly to your copy of Ponix, which is amazing, essentially being Stratos for your copy of Ponix. And it also has a really cool ability. You can send up to 2 face-up cards that you control to the graveyard, including this card, to special summon 1 Snake Eye monster from your hand or deck, except another copy of this card, which is usually going to be your copy of Snake Eye's Flameberg Dragon, which I do really like as a 1-of in the build, because this card just helps you get field presence, which is really cool, and I love that about this card, that if this card is sent from the hand or field to the grave, you can special summon 2 level 1 fire monsters monsters from your graveyard, which is really good to be able to bring back your copy of Ponix and your copy of your Ash, which is just so cool. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's a definite 3-of in the deck, just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. It's an amazing hand trap overall, and it's just really good in the deck. Plus, it actually does come up sometimes that this card is fire, which is super cool. We then play 3 copies of Drollin Lockbird. It was included in the structure deck, which is why I'm playing 3 copies of it, but it's also an insane hand trap to be able to use to just drop against the opponent and basically stop them from touching the deck for the rest of the turn. We then also play 2 copies of Effect Veiler. I feel like all you need is 2 because I'm also playing 3 copies of Imperm in the trap lineup. So you're playing a total of about 11 hand traps in this build, which is absolutely insane. And you have a lot of room in this build to be able to play the exact hand traps that you need, but I feel like that's the ones you really want to play in this deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Circle of the Fire Kings. Circle is really good as a 1-of in the deck because this card helps you tag out your Fire King monsters, helping you OTK your opponent, which is why I really like this card as a 1-of in the build. We then play a single copy of Fire King Skyburn. This card is really amazing to be able to pop cards on the field because it lets you pop Fire Kings on your side of the field and then cards on your opponent's side of the field, which is just really good to be able to do. And this card just helps out basically just dealing with certain cards that your opponent might have. We then play a single copy of the original Sinful Spools Snake Eye. This card works with your Diabellstar cards, which is why we're playing this card as a 1-of. It lets you send one other face-up card that you control to the grave to special summon a level 1 fire monster from your hand or deck, which is super cool to be able to summon your copy of Ponix off of this, making the deck so much more consistent, which is just super cool. We then also play 3 copies of Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spools. This card is basically Rhoda for your Diabellstar package, which is why we play this card as a 3-of in the build. I know this card is very crazy expensive, but don't worry, I'm going to be doing a Dogmatica version of this deck to make it more budget than playing the Diabellstar card, so don't worry about it. There will be budget builds on the channel. But this card is really good in the deck as a 3-of to help you get to your copies of your Diabellstar cards, and this card is just insane. We then play 2 copies of Fire Formation Tinky. Tinky is really good because it searches out our Beast Warriors from our deck to our hands. This card can be really helpful. Plus, you can also use this card for cost because once it hits the field, you really don't need that attack boost that much. But it is a continuous Rhoda-like card, so you can use it to be able to send to the graveyard for certain card effects, which is also really good to pay costs. We then play 2 copies of Fire King Island. Fire King Island is extremely important as a 2-of in the deck because if this face-up card on the field is sent to the graveyard or banished, destroy all monsters that you control, which sometimes can actually help us out. But it also has the ability during your main phase, you can destroy 1 monster in your hand or field, and if you do, add 1 Fire King monster from your deck to your hand, which usually, if you're going with the 1-card combo with Ponix, you'll summon out Ponix, search your copy of Fire King Sanctuary, then activate the copy of Fire King Sanctuary that we also play as a 3-of in the deck to get to your copy of Fire King Island. Then you'll use Island to pop your copy of Ponix to be able to search out the Sacred Garunix from your deck to your hand and then special summon out Garunix, and then be able to use Garunix's ability to pop Barong in the deck to be able to send to the grave. So during your opponent's standby phase, you'll get your copy of Ponix back and you'll be able to use your copy of Barong to search Kirin so that you can use the awesome effect of your Fire King Sanctuary that if your opponent special summons out a monster to their side of the field, you get to XZ summon so we can step into our copy of Garunix Eternity, which is such a cool looking boss monster. I'm so excited to play this deck. But this card is really good because you want to play 3 copies of Fire King Sanctuary because when this card is activated, you place 1 Fire King Island from your deck face up in the spell or in your field spell zone, which is a great ability and also gives you some protection for your copy of Fire King Island, which is amazing. And it has an insane ability that if your opponent does special summon, you get to XZ summon into a Fire XZ monster using only Fire King monsters, which is always going to be your copy of Garunix Eternity. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and that's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is just really good to be able to play in the deck to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is just super helpful in the deck. Plus, it was included in the structure deck, making it a really budget option for this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with Garunix Eternity. I did choose to play 2 copies of this card. You can play just 1 if you want to, but you don't go into the extra deck all that often in this build outside of this card. So I ended up playing 2 copies. In playtesting, it does come up to summon out the second copy, but usually after you summon the first one and you go into it during your opponent's turn with your copy of Sanctuary, you're probably going to win. But this card is insane because it has the ability, if this card is XZ summon, you can destroy all other monsters on the field. And if your opponent doesn't deal with this card, it also has the ability to detach a material from this card and target a spell or trap on the field and destroy it. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack, which is a really good ability for this card to have, because it will go up to 3,500, getting it really big, and also having an insane effect to pop spells and traps and destroy all the monsters. It also has a really cool ability that if this card is destroyed while it has materials, you can special summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials this card had, letting you basically replace this card, which is absolutely crazy. We then play a single copy of Dingirsu. When it's XZ summoned, you do get to send a card to the graveyard. This card is just really good to be able to just summon to your side of the field because it doesn't target, it just sends a card, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Sky Crisis. I feel like this card should be in pretty much every extract because it's so easy to summon and it's such a powerful card. We then play a single copy of AA Zeus. You don't go into this card all that often because you don't want to send your cards to the graveyard, so you can change out AA Zeus if you want to for a copy of Underworld Goddess, and I almost changed it out for Underworld Goddess before the profile, but in playtesting I did summon Zeus a couple of times to be able to just board wipe the field just in case, and it never hurts to have Zeus to be able to go with your copy of Typhon. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's really good to be able to just pop cards on the field, plus it comes out absolutely massive, and it's very easy to OTK your opponent with this card. We then play a single copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. It's very easy to summon this card in the deck, because we're also playing a couple other Cyberse cards, but this card is basically Pot of Greed. You pay 1,000 life points during our turn to draw a card, and then during our opponent's turn, we also pay another 1,000 life points to draw a card. And as long as our opponent just leaves this card alone, we're going to be drawing an extra card every turn, which is going to get completely out of hand for our opponents, because we're playing 11 hand traps in the main. So we're going to be drawing hand traps like crazy. We then play a single copy of Selene. Selene's really good in the deck as a 1-of because this card is amazing just to basically summon out this card to help you climb into your copy of Access Code. We can play a single copy of Hita and a single copy of Dark. We can go into both of these cards and their spellcasters to help us step into our copy of Selene. We then play a single copy of Salaman Great Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf is really good in the deck because it is a Cyverse monster, but it also helps us step into our copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul, and it helps us recover cards from the graveyard like Ash Blossom or other fire monsters, which is just really nice. We then play a single copy of SP Little Knight. You can play Nightmare Unicorn if you want to instead of this, but this card is absolutely insane. If you got it, play it. If you don't, play Unicorn. It's a really good card in the deck, and it helps you basically just have a double disruption. Also, it works insane with your copy of Garunix Eternity because you can banish this card to be able to just get it out of the way so that you can basically just put it back later, which is really insane. We then play a single copy of IP. IP is great to be able to go in your copy of SP Little Knight, and it's just a fantastic card overall. We then play a single copy of Linkribo. Linkribo plus your copy of Sunlight Wolf go into Decode Talker Heat Soul so that you can use for draws, which is really good. Plus we play a lot of level 1s in the deck, so your copy of Linkribo is just really good. And then finally play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is great in the deck as a 1-of as well, just to help you out with a lot of plays, and it's a fantastic card in the deck. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Fire Kings before, now is the perfect time with the structure deck just releasing. I absolutely love this deck. It's so fun to be able to play, to just summon Garunix Eternity during my opponent's turn, and I absolutely love the new artwork of Garunix. It's so cool, and I absolutely love it. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.